laners play this hero, because usually we have that timber saw that sort of just gets slammed down. But Undying are saying, we don't care, go for it if you want, we are going to risk it. And okay, here we go. Marana, Timbersaw, D2 Hustlers, they've got a very classic lineup right now for them. So I'm feeling a little bit more confident about their draft this time around.
Yeah, that one felt a little bit weird. As you said, Undying sort of coming at them thinking like, go ahead, pick the timber, we're okay with it. And then D2 Hustlers pick it, and Undying are just kind of sitting there thinking, we didn't actually think you'd go for it. So either they have a plan or they've walked into a bit of a rough one. But, I mean, Timbersaw into Vilava's hands, it's probably one of the heroes that I think they feel best with him sort of controlling here. So this feels so much better for D2 Hustlers, I think, compared to where they were with their Game 1 draft. So we'll see just how well Dvailama can play, whether he can take advantage of, of the Timber against sort of multiple strength heroes on that other side. In the meantime, though, we're moving into the final phase of the bans. Both squads looking like they need their carry heroes. So it's all going to come down to those pause 1 bans here. D2 Hustlers starting off by removing Tomato's Luna. Undying, going to ban out that Drow. We don't really see her all that often, but in the right situations, that Drow is still incredibly sort of threatening. So Undying going to take it out here to start off phase 3.
Well, with the Rubik pick, you really are just trying to protect this Tidehunter as much as possible. I don't think we could see anything too wild coming out from both squads. As you said, they need Tomato, they need Yuma. Unfortunately, Undying have banned out their own Ursa. I would say Ursa would have been one of the better picks that they could have gone for. A pick that I'm a little bit surprised that they didn't go for, maybe leaving it in the pool and then trying to pick it up in that second phase, because, yeah, this Timbersaw, it's just so obvious. It feels like D2 Hustlers have exactly what they want. And even though we've seen this Timbersaw play versus the Ancient Apparition time and time again, aside from the level 6, AA does not do anything versus Timbersaw. While the Ice Vortex is pretty good for helping your other heroes burst him out, Cold Feet doesn't matter, the Chilling Touch doesn't matter, so 2 your spells just do nothing. More often than not, we see the Timbersaw just immediately gun for that AA, force it to be a one-man ulti, and then you itemize for the pipe, you itemize for the Kaya Sanj, so all of those items just tank you up that little bit more over that threshold. So it feels a little bit strange, but again, Undying, they need to have a plan. If they have this idea that they're going to pick up the Rubik Tidehunter, they're going to have superior team fight, I can only imagine they had sort of an idea of what Tamano wanted to play into that Timbersaw. Because again, a team like Undying, they're not going to get caught off guard. They shouldn't get caught off guard. They've got to have some sort of plan coming into really just this last pick.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, based on what we've seen from them to this point, not just in terms of their play, but in terms of their draft strategy, if they let that Timbersaw through in such an obvious situation, there has to be a reason for it. It's just not the kind of mental mistake that we really have seen from them at any point in this event. Even in the matches that they've lost, they haven't really given up that kind of obvious play. So we'll see what it is they have to throw out here, as D2 Hustlers are going to be coming in with the Gyrocopter for Yuma. So got their carry online, and now we'll see what it is that Undying had planned here. This final pick coming in should be Tomato's hero. Is this going to be some sort of gotcha, some sort of aha moment that we're all going to sort of look at them as being geniuses for, or will it just be sort of standard stuff, in which case that Timbersaw pick for D2 Hustlers will look incredibly valuable?
And I really am sort of trying to figure it out. Can't really see the, well, I guess we could, but the Anti-Mage? No, they are just going to go for the Morphling. So, classic counter versus really, I want to say Gyro and Timbersaw, but that Timbersaw lane, it does feel like it's going to be a little bit obnoxious for him. Both really good morph targets. The Tomato Morphling is one of those heroes. He didn't get to play it last time, but Brow more or less showed his worth on that hero. But now you have this matchup where you can steal the flat cannon, you do so much damage to all of these heroes. You don't really have guaranteed lockdown on the Hustlers side up until you get that Yule Scepter on 1437. So in that aspect, it is a pretty free morph game. So Undying, while you did sort of lose your up-tempo heroes, a lot of them just sort of got banned out by both sides. This is still going to feel pretty good. The really just the big question mark for me is how much is this Timbersaw going to be able to get done? If he ever slows down, that's when he is going to die to this AA. That's when he is going to die to this tiny blink dagger and the rotations coming in from the Rubik. And that's where they need to be careful. And yet again, we're in a situation where Hustlers, while they have Yuma on a more active hero, you have to sort of wait. You have to bide your time. You have to go to those later stages. And I think that's where Undying, more so than the previous game, they're going to feel comfortable going into those later stages. They really don't care at this point.
Yeah, it just feels like they've got maybe not a massive advantage, but they're going to be able to hold their own really at all stages of this game. So they don't need to be quite as concerned about their opponents sort of drawing things out. But, well, we will just sort of have to wait and see. D2 Hustlers have got their backs against the wall here. Obviously, down 0-1 in this series. Really do need to get themselves a victory at this point. Of course, if they lose this series, there is still lower bracket for them, so they're not going to be knocked out just yet, but obviously you are sort of taking a step further away from your goal of reaching that grand final. So they've got to sort of get it in gear here. They cannot afford to sort of fall behind as quickly as they did in game one. So we'll see what immediate moves that they make here. You've got Invoker and Invoker and Timbersaw on your side for this one. So they're going to be feeling more comfortable. We'll see if that results in a stronger level of play for them.
And you really just have all of the comfort heroes. You've got a very, very sort of storied lineup. They've played these heroes many times, maybe not at the same time. I think this is the first time we're getting to see all of these heroes come together, coming from the D2 Hustler side, but on paper, they definitely have a shot. They definitely have some advantages they've been able to get for themselves. It really just comes down to execution at this point. Whether or not Undying are going to sort of style on you, you always need to be careful because they are Undying and Pandego is dead.
Yeah, he's going down here. There's no way out. So 5-man smoke play from Undying gets them onto their opponent's side of the map, and Pandego just sort of walks into it. Didn't really know, and he will suffer because of it. So Undying able to get first blood. They drop an Obs Ward here in their opponent's jungle, just getting some vision over really the top half of the middle lane. Really just getting the vision everywhere, in fact.
Yeah, they're pinging it out.
Yeah.
With that, I think that Chilling Touch gave it away. 1437's going to know. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but again, killing Pandego, I'm surprised they didn't have sort of an idea that was happening, just because with Tidehunter, we always see this, right? You always get very aggressive. You have that level 1 Gush. It's -4 armor. That's why we always see sort of the first blood attempts where maybe Dubu stays top, just so that way they can try to kill the enemy carry. Ooh, Dubu got arrowed up, but he's going to be fine as well. But yeah, they're going to be fine in this top lane. Pandego, he's going to need to be a little bit careful with his positioning. He doesn't have that much gold to work with. He's still waiting, I think. No, he's got the bounty gold. He's just really poor. I think he might be waiting for a sentry or something. But he does not have the most regen in this top lane. He might need to get a few tangos from Yuma. So that's where they do need to be very cautious.
Yeah, especially going up against this duo, Saberlight and Moonmeander. I mean, they don't have it yet, but once Moon hits level 2, gets a point up in that telekinesis, Pandego could very easily get punished. Right? They're going to have the slow and the armor reduction from the Gush into Fadebolt, into telekinesis. Presumably Saberlight will be getting some points up in the Anchor Smash here as well, and if Pandego's caught in the middle of all that, that is not exactly a situation that he's going to be able to survive most of the time, and Yuma can only, I say, partially help him right now with the homing missile, so this offlane duo for Undying could afford to sort of turn up the heat a little bit early, but until they get those levels, it's just going to be about Saberlight trying to find as much farm as he can. But Moon, okay, getting hit up by the missile, but he's going to be too far away by the time this actually comes through. So Pandego, I don't know, he's going to be doing his best, obviously, but feels like his effectiveness so far in the lane is really not what you want it to be, and I'm not sure if it's going to take a massive step forward anytime soon.
Oh, and really, once Yuma gets level 3, you'll have that second level in Rocket Barrage. Maybe they can make the play onto the Rubik. He doesn't have enough attack speed to really hit down that missile fast enough. But during all this time, Saberlight, if he ever gets an Anchor Smash, the play basically dies. It just is a little bit too much damage reduction. And Pandego has sort of had to stay in the lane. He's been getting a lot of levels, and he will be able to get the pull off, even though Moon has boots. And this is exactly what they need to do. Just get it under control. Try to take it low and slow. Again, D2 Hustlers, they do not want to lose their lanes for the second time. They want to be able to get those little advantages. If anything, they don't want to lose the little advantages that they do have.
Dubu tried for the kill onto 1437 there. The chilling touch was just short of the mark. The Mirana had, I think, a bit under 20 HP, but 1437 is able to walk away. However, Dubu wasn't exactly punished for that one either. He was sort of in no man's land, floating in between two heroes, but with the Mirana that low, Devi didn't really have his partner, and he only had the level 1 Timber Chain for damage, so Dubu does sort of lay out for that kill, and while he's not able to get it, he's not really going to be punished for it either.
Nope, and in this bottom lane, really, if 1437 is tanking the spells, he even just has a salve, he meets his courier, so it's not the longest trip. You're giving this XP to Devi Lama as much as you can. He only has that level 1 reactive, so he does take a lot of damage from these heroes still. But again, this isn't the worst case scenario. Devi Lama needs to wait for his timing. Again, the bigger issue, I think, if you're D2 Hustlers is Papa Tootie is struggling again. Bryle has gotten so many lacets underneath his belt already.
Yeah.
Oh, and he glyphed the wave too. Dude, Bryle is just a monster.
Guy's on a whole other level right now. Day 1 of the playoffs, he came prepared. He's in the right headspace to take this one, and yeah, that last hit count, a little out of hand. 14 to 8 already would be sort of a concern, but Bryle's also sitting on double-digit denies in the first 3 minutes, so this dude just wants control of the lane, and right now Papa Tootie's not in a position to really contest it as well as he would like, so could be a repeat of game 1, and that is going to spell disaster for D2 Hustlers. That was one of the biggest issues for them in that first match, is the fact that that Papa Tootie Viper ended up getting sort of pushed back and sort of ate into the farm of some of the other cores. If that happens again, and someone like Yuma on the Gyrocopter, let's say, gets slowed down in his farming rate, they're just going to be massively sort of behind the 8 ball there. So Papa Tootie's got to try and get it in gear here. He did hit double-digit last hits himself, but we need to see more of that sort of Tornado EMP combo that we were talking about in the draft as Bryle went for it. But
yeah.
Not quite able to
You
get it. It
gotta
was
go
worth a
for
shot.
it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's just going to be annoying. And Papa Tootie, he hasn't found the time to really get those EMPs down. He's been biding his time, maybe waiting for that 3rd point in Wex before he gets too aggressive. Ooh. But yeah, Bryle is just cooking with stronger ingredients. He's going to take a lot of damage here, but again, I don't think there's too many universes where he's going to get solo killed. And Papa Tootie needs to be a little bit careful. He knows that the cooldown's there, but ooh, this is... Both mid laners are...
Making me nervous. Bryle, he's going to go for it.
Yeah, he's got him.
Oof. I mean, like, I don't know too many players who would make that move confident that they'll succeed as 1437.
He tried. The creep wave. If there's no creep wave, he just goes for the arrow, but... Yeah, and I'm also surprised that there wasn't the call to make a rotation. I feel like either side, you're just like, hey guys, anybody TP mid, he's gonna have Avalanche in 3 or 4 seconds. We can kill him. I just need 1 hero. But at least they get Moon Meander top. They're able to force him out of the lane a little bit, but again, mid, it's just always gonna be sort of a sour spot.
And the thing in this top lane, that is a nice kill onto the Rubik, as you said. It's their first kill of the game, but yeah, you take the Rubik out, you're not dislodging Saberlight. He's just going to sit here and continue to try and farm up. Devi Lama was hoping to do the same elsewhere on the map, but Tomato and Duba were able to get in onto him for the kill. So that Timbersaw, not super tanky right now. He does have 2 points up in the reactive, but it wasn't enough. It's 1437. I don't think you win this. He doesn't win it. Wow.
The little advantage is they're starting to get pulled away. They're getting a little bit more XP than their opponents. We see all 3 cores on the Undying side pulling ahead last hit-wise. And even Tomato, he is starting to really come into his own. He has his Morbid Mask already. And really, Devi, he has that level 2 point in reactive, but without the Whirling Death, you don't really have any kill threat onto Tomato. You're going to need a Lucky Arrow, another hero, and oh, Moon?
Okay,
all
he got the
supports are
regen.
mid, but... Okay, you're denying the rune from the Tiny, so again, every single time Tiny doesn't get the rune, he doesn't get a bounty rune, he doesn't get his bottle refilled, now Papa Tootie is going to constantly try and burn out his mana, but it still feels like it's going to be a rough one.
Bryle just spammed out everything he had there before the EMP actually connects, so there wasn't a lot of mana left to burn, and the damage was still applied by the Tiny, so just trying to be, honestly, as efficiently, playing as efficiently as he can here. As he's even going to draw the aggro from the Siege Creep just to make sure it's not really going to hit his tower. So, not a whole lot going in that middle lane for D2 Hustlers. Meanwhile, up top, Yuma trying to drop a little bit low. Doesn't have the mana for the Rocket Rush. If he has that, maybe you continue sort of taking that fight. But Saberlight at this point is really just too tanky. And Saberlight He's actually going for a Meteor Hammer as his first item. That's a very sort of
That
interesting
is,
build.
yeah, that is very, very different, but maybe they're saying, oh, we want to get these early towers, but we don't want to risk our Morphling, so we're going to get a Meteor Hammer on Saberlight. Yeah, it's very different. Sort of the king of the weird builds. Oh, and Moon wasn't able to get that telekinesis off, so Pandega's going to survive, but they're playing around the fact that Saberlight is about to hit that level 6. They've got to know it's coming on the Hustler's side, but he's playing very up in the lane because of that fact.
Gonna get hit by the homing missile, but this might be what they want. Moon is still sort of prowling around here, and he does have a second point up in the telekinesis, so he's got that extended cast range. It's not massive, but it might be enough to get him into range, and because of that, the Rubik is sort of sticking around, but it does look like Moon Meander is finally starting to rotate himself away. He's been up in that top lane for a while, hasn't really had the opportunity that he was hoping for, so instead, we see him eyeing up that middle lane. Bryle does not have really much mana to work with here, so I don't think they could do too
missed
much.
the rune as well.
Yeah.
Unfortunate. If they can get the tornado into arrow, well, he's just going to skill shot it. Oh, no. Well, there goes that play. And he pings up the ward immediately.
Yeah. Unfortunate there, as Hustlers were trying to make that play, but I think, honestly, as you said, they could have just waited for the setup. The tornado into the arrow would have been just about a surefire thing as long as that tornado hits, and Tomato didn't really, or would not have seen it coming had the tornado been deployed first, but yeah, a little bit too fast on that one. The Morphling's able to walk away. Meanwhile, back up into top lane, Bryle and Moon, they're on the hunt. They've got eyes on Yuma. That homing missile is going to be taken away before it can really do much to stun up anybody, but it at least gets the Gyrocopter away from this fight. But that means he's not farming up in the jungle right now, and the presence for Undying in this north side continues to sort of build up as they are eyeing up that top lane. They really do want the fight here. They've got 4 heroes in the area, and Saberlight has the ult and the Meteor Hammer.
And they don't know about the Tiny. They should be able to call every single other hero, but again, Devi, this is in your vulnerable stage. He's being smart, though. He has those 3 levels up in reactive. He's sitting in the small camp. And Bryle, okay. He did let his presence be known, but now this tower should just fall. But at the same time, it's Yuma. He's already made the rotation down. He's just going to farm up, work towards that Ags. And Devi's just trying to be very annoying, but ooh, boy.
That's a problem. Whoa. Did he? He did. He lost the reactive armor stacks there when he went in, so the timing's a little bit off. He was not nearly tanky enough to take that, and Undying get that kill. They don't even use the Ravage. They're still holding it, and they're still putting pressure on this tier 1 tower, so this is going to turn into a bit of a rough one as Saberlight is going to be able to hit up that tower, while Pandego just has to sort of sit and watch. He's going to throw out that Nature's Grasp to try and do something, but it's not going to matter.
Yeah, and there really isn't much you can do, especially with the Meteor Hammer, sort of the cherry on top, where there's literally nothing, and maybe that's why he went that Meteor Hammer, just so he could force down those towers. Meanwhile, Dubu does get dove in bottom, but he's making ways towards his level 6. He was actually just 1 creep away, so it does suck a little bit. But again, Undying, it feels like they're a little bit ahead on all of their rotations. They go immediately from top into that mid play, whereas D2 Hustlers, they decided to take the farm instead because they do have that slower lineup. And Papa Tootie is very obnoxious with this EMP. Both Saberlight and Brown need their mana to get these plays done, but Meteor Hammer, yeah, just going to be super obnoxious.
Forcing out the glyph there as D2 Hustlers have to use it to try and avoid that damage. Meanwhile, Devi, okay, yeah, that's always a nifty play. Dropping down the tree with the Ironwood tree neutral and then chaining your way to it. But now there's a problem. Here comes Bryle in for the toss into the avalanche. That Timber Chain, though, is going to get Devi Llama away. Blast, meanwhile, got mid. Yeah, didn't really hit much. Devi still on the run, though. Can Moon Meander lock him down? Telekinesis is here, but he decides to go for the Stolen Chakram instead, and that's really not going to be enough. Devi simply walks away from that, and it was a nice initiation from Bryle. They just didn't quite have the follow-up to make that play happen.
And with how rotation heavy he has been playing this Tiny, he didn't get those 2 much stronger runes earlier. Now he's sort of sat with his with this illusion rune. Yeah, they need to make a smoke just so he can get out onto the map. And it's not going to be a very fast blink dagger. It's not going to be a blink dagger we've seen before. Papa Tootie, they're just going to ravage him.
Yep, there it is. Ravage comes out. Telekinesis maybe slightly stacked, but it's not going to matter. Papa Tootie will still fall. The Ice Blast even coming in just in case there were sort of any TPs onto that tower, I think. But no reinforcements were really coming. Papa Tootie gets taken down. Devi. Oh.
He only has 1, but here's Yuma.
The toss will actually miss. Yuma's into the fight. Saberlight is dropping low. They will be able to take him down. They got Moon Meander as well. Now they're in onto Bryle. Can the Tiny get himself away? There's an illusion rune bottled up, but he's not actually going to be able to pop it, as 1437 brings him down, and that that one goes relatively well for D2 Hustlers. Papatuti unfortunately has to be sacrificed, but the 3-for-1 trade is going to very significantly sort of go in their favor, and they're starting to maybe cut away at that deficit a little bit here coming out of the laning stage.
And going forward, I wonder where we're going to see this Tiny play. Probably just really focus on the jungle now. That's your one play you can make before Blink Dagger where you're like, okay, I fed. That was not for the best. I need to go finish this item because I don't need to dive nearly as deep and feel quite as effective. But looks like Bryle, yeah, he's going to go to the lane that's just getting pushed in from the gyro. There really isn't a chance on his life down here unless the Timbersaw shows up. And we got to see there, the Timbersaw still versus Tidehunter versus Tiny. That Whirling Death, it's just so much. You have to definitely be careful. You have to sort of assume that the damage is going to be there. And with the way that Saberlight has built, it's a Meteor Hammer. It's not a Vlad's. It's not a Hood of Defiance. Ooh, arrows off the mark.
Saberlight may be in some trouble here. They're still chasing Divine Llama Timber chaining forward, but he chains into Tomato, and yeah, the presence of the Morphling should be enough to force him back. Meanwhile, over in the sort of east side jungle, Dubu and Moon were trying to go for maybe a bit of a wraparound, but that fight breaking out in the middle lane kind of breaks up their own momentum. There's no sort of second half to that pincer movement. They were just sort of moving on their own. So we see them fall back, but TP's coming in. When Meander's here, maybe they could spot out Devire 1437 as they're both still sort of hanging out in this south side jungle area. Are they going to make that move, though? As of right now, not really. Oh, Moon's getting close, though. Yeah, he does spot Devi, and Bryle's going to come in. They get the avalanche down, but 1437 in there for the arrow. Bryle's going to get sort of locked down, and this is getting a little bit complicated. Undying are now going to fall back, as we see about 3 or 4 heroes from D2 Hustlers charging their way forward, but it's more of an intimidation tactic, I think, than anything else. They're not going to commit fully for a fight as everybody goes their separate ways, but there are about 2 or 3 different opportunities for what could have been a fight that sort of get passed up or missed.
And that's where you feel like D2 Hustlers are still struggling to find the right hero combination to get these kills. And Devi, this is the Ravage. He does have the hood.
They did hit him up with the Ice Blast as well, though. So, Tomato?
Tomato.
Just wasn't managing the HP. He was on max agi. He just gets completely wiped out by Devi, and that's a massive mistake. He had 500 max HP there. I'm not sure what happened.
I think that was just 2 spells from the Timberstar and then a Starstorm. And now if Saberlight's going to get turned on, they know you don't have Ravage. This is a terrible turn of events for Undying.
Yeah,
what a huge misplay.
Not dead yet. There it is. Chakram comes through. Devi's able to sort of pick that one up, but Bryle's in to try and make a return play here. Avalanche into toss will take 1437 down, but he's going to get hit up by the Overgrowth. Trapped up inside the Chakram. Devi Llama pushing forward. They get the Meteor down as well, and Bryle is going to fall, and the Ice Blast doesn't really hit onto much of anything. Now Moon Meander is going to get run down as well. Devi picks up the double, and this just goes... Terrible feels like it's too sort of lenient of a word there. They lose 4 for 1437. That's an absolute disaster.
And I'm not sure if they didn't click on Devi, maybe thinking he didn't have that hood, but now this Timbersaw's game is completely salvaged, and I don't think they're going to give up this tower very easily. They still have the morphs. They are still able to become that Timbersaw, and that's where Devi does still need to be careful, but...
Tomato.
Yeah, more HP than last time, but still, this is an endless fight.
It just won't end. Yeah, TPs are coming in, though. Moon Meander is going to get here. They've got Bryle coming in as well, grabbing up that tree. Let's see what they can find. As of right now, looking like nothing as the Moonlight Shadow comes out from 1437, and D2 Hustlers honestly probably making the right move there. With that many heroes now TPing back in, sort of fresh-faced and ready to go, that is not a situation you want to fight into with maybe half HP and mana on some of your heroes, so... They take their win in the fight, they swing the net worth lead their way, they back off and regroup, and now Tomato... He's got to be careful again. He's just continuing to get pressured up here.
Yeah, and now Spirit Vessel finished up on Papatuti. They do need to make a smoke, get him a charge, but at the same time, Yuma, during all of that, complete uncontested free farm. He's just been farming his Ancients. He has an Aghanim Scepter, and when he starts getting involved in these fights, that's where maybe you're going to see this Rubik AA start to crumble, where you don't have that fantastic frontliner, and with Saberlight, with the build that's really quite greedy, this Meteor Hammer felt good 5 minutes ago, but now, after all that shenanigans mid, it feels like he needs to be that frontliner, or he needs to get the jump. So that's why he's going for this Blink Dagger, but again, it feels really risky. Once you get that Blink, if you mess up your initiation at all, ooh, Bryle got a freebie.
Yeah, able to catch out 1437 there in the jungle. Dubu comes in with the Ice Blast to help it out, and they are going to be able to just get that one, as you said, pretty much for free. But Sort of back to the point of the Saberlight Meteor Hammer, as you said, it felt incredibly impressive initially, but at the time I think we were sort of suspecting that Undying were going to be, excuse me, that they were going to be sort of ramping up a little bit more, that they were going to have, at this point in the game, more than a single tier 1 tower taken. So now that that sort of pushing power has maybe fizzled out a little bit, this Meteor Hammer just doesn't seem to be doing quite as much for Saberlight compared to when he first purchased it. But if they can turn that around, if they can maybe start swinging some momentum their way again, it is going to sort of come back into favor, and we do actually see Saberlight continuing to throw it out here. The problem is, if they're not able to maintain this pressure onto the towers,
Yeah,
Pandago's just going to keep healing, yeah. Living Armor out again.
And again, we see with the Stream Protector, you just envelop a lane, get your levels, get your XP, only really show up to fights when you do feel incredibly confident, and that's where maybe we see Undying trying to make a play onto that tree. But you have only claimed a tier 1 tower. You have not been able to punish the fact that D2 Hustlers haven't had Glyph because they really have never been forced to use it. Finishing up this Blink Dagger on the Tiny has sort of skipped over really the power of it, where now you might need to wait a little bit. Maybe you need Tomato to start showing up, and you can't win the fights without it. And while you are able to get these cute plays on a 1437, I feel like if you're Undying, you need to get a little bit more, because as of right now, once Yuma gets this BKB, everything in the fight goes D2 Hustler's side. You are not killing this Gyro. You have to wait till Tomato has a little bit more damage. But even Tomato, he isn't going for the Scotty build. He's just going immediately for that F-Blade, trying to sort of double down on that magic damage. And while that will make Papa Tootie and Devilama sad, again, Yuma, there's nobody to stand against him right now.
Yeah, it just feels like Tomato, I don't know, he's building for a more sort of hit and run kind of strat again with that E-Blade, just hoping to bring somebody down, but if it comes down to a longer, more drawn-out fight, they're not really going to have that advantage as Devi. Okay. Going to get hit up a little bit here, but now he'll turn around. Tomato's going to lose about half his HP right away. The Rubik will throw out a stolen shotgun, but Pandago, he's in here. He wants that overgrowth. They're not going to be able to get it just yet, though, as Tomato is going to... Oh,
he missed?
He missed with the Timber Chain. He's in trouble. He's going to get hit by the Tornado. Can he get himself away? He's already starting to shift towards strength, so we do see more HP coming his way, but he still needs to sort of make his way out of this fight. The Waveform, though, will finally get him out. Now with Saberlight into the engagement, I don't know if D2 Hustlers want to continue to chase this. Ice Blast is coming through. I believe it hits onto Papa Tootie, but that's pretty much it. But at that point, really just a deterrent. They're trying to get the Morphling away from that fight, and they do succeed, as he certainly had to work for it, but he is able to get away.
Yeah, and as soon as Saberlight sort of bumps into Yuma, they know we need to not be here. This is risky. When Devi actually missed the chain onto Moon, he's still telekinesis, but again, you get forced off of this tower, and now we're going to have to see how D2 Hustlers decide to defend mid, but okay, very simply, they're just going to TP up both heroes, and again, it's sort of the aggressive defensive game where D2 Hustlers are able to defend their towers while pushing you into your jungle, and your active lineup is sort of slowing down. We're sort of getting to the point where Undying are really going to be in that hump where now you can make plays with this Blink Dagger Ravage, but once that is done, you have to sit back and farm. You have to let D2 Hustlers do whatever they want on the map, and you have to allot them that respect.
Can't really afford to push out when the Blink Daggers aren't available, when the Ravage isn't available, so I don't know, it just feels like Undying have sort of let a lot of their early momentum just kind of slip through their fingers now, and D2 Hustlers are very much okay with the sort of pace of the game at the moment, as Yuma did briefly sort of run into some heroes there in the bottom lane, but he is going to be able to hold his own, but still closing in on that BKB as top lane. Moon Meander going to get himself taken down. Saberlight, meanwhile, does deploy the Ravage down boss. They're going in onto Yuma. They'll hit him up with the Meteor Hammer into the Ice Blast, but where's the follow-up damage? There it is. Ryle in for the Avalanche in the toss. Yuma will be taken down, and they might be able to go for a little bit more here. 1437's laying out for the kill onto Dubu, but he doesn't have the damage to actually get it. Now he's going to have to use a couple of leap charges just to get away, so it's well played so far by Undying, but now Devi is in for the fight. The toss is going to get him away from the Tiny. The problem is they throw him directly onto Dubu, and Dubu is going to be taken down. So, Bryle basically says, better you than me, throws Dubu into, or throws the Timber into Dubu, and makes his escape.
And it's really just the proper play that they needed to make. That was your one kill on Jaro before that BKB's off, and really, now we're going to see them sort of back up. And what they have been doing pretty well is really identifying that Divine Llama, if we see him use his TP, and he had to walk to that fight, if he had that immediate TP, they might have had to give up on the Yuma kill just because of how strong this Timbersaw is. If they can sort of string him around the map, Divine Llama can't be in two places at once. He needs to sort of pick and choose what he wants to do, and he's settled into defending this mid tier 1 tower, which someone definitely has to do. But you can't help but think that D2 Hustlers need to find a way to leverage this hero a little bit more. But okay, Saberlight and Moon, they're in the jungle.
Yeah, they don't have any mana anymore, though. The EMP sort of wipes them out, but... Well, I was going to say they can get away safely. Saberlight can. Moon Meander will not. However, Bri was able to find a return kill. 1437 was sort of hanging out in the south side jungle. They do bring said Mirana down, but... one-for-one trade on your sort of position for support's really not going to move the needle too much. Overall, that gold is going to sort of largely be evened out. So at least Brow's starting to make some plays now. That Blink Dagger is really sort of coming into focus for him. We see the BKB being worked on for him next. So if they can get him maybe a little bit more active before Yuma's really ready to go, then that is going to work in their favor. Although I think Yuma did just finish that BKB. Yeah, that's the final piece out to him now.
And they don't have the best Roche, and after this Ice Blast lands, yeah, Yuma can't really sit here. And this is going to draw all the focus of the map over there, even though really Undying have a much better lineup at killing it just because they do have that Morphling, just as a little bit more damage, and he has a full Eagle Song. Cool. He's trying to make a play to Dubu, but...
Reinforcements have arrived. Ryle's in for the kill. They've got Papatuti. Big kill there. Dubu does still eventually end up falling as Divine Llama went all the way in for the kill. He's trying to get onto Moon Meander now as well, but the Rubik should be able to dodge him out as this fight is starting to heat up a little bit. Devi just going to push in again, and this time Moon's not able to get away. He can't dodge out that damage, so the Timber finds the double. Now he's pushing even further in, but there's going to be the Avalanche into the toss, pushing him back for the time being. As Undying are going to try to regroup around that sort of tier 1 area. Devi, though, is cutting down the trees, really trying to clear a path just in case this does turn into an engagement, but I don't know. Maybe once those supports respawn, Brile could look to go back in with that blink, so your D2 Hustlers, you do have to be a little bit careful. We already see their lineup really splitting up. Devi is the only one sort of still in that west side jungle area, and he's going to be making his escape now as well.
Yeah, and what a perfect item for him to get. The Nether Shawl just feels like he can't die. They do so much magic damage on the Undying side. Every single hero is sort of itemized for that, but he doesn't care. And this is one of those games where you can definitely sort of carry your team 1v5 on that Timbersaw. Every single hero on the Undying side needs their stats, and with such low heroes, like I'm looking at Tomato, he's still sitting at 760 HP. He doesn't have that Scotty. Again, he went for this Blade, so you're really bursting Divine Llama instantly, or you're trying to kill all of his teammates, which is magnitudes easier.
We see that pretty often when we get into that, maybe not quite raid boss mode just yet, 25 minutes in, but when you have a hero like that, that is your sort of list of options. Either go all in on that hero, take them down right away, or ignore them throughout the entirety of the fight, try and leave them where you have everything and they just have that one Timbersaw left standing. So if Undying can pull that off, then sure, it can work out relatively well for them. But right now, they don't want to go directly into the Timber at all. In fact, they're looking for the north side jungle area. They have smoked up. If they'd have gone a little bit to the left, though, they would have run into Papatuti. Instead, they're now wrapping their way towards mid.
And they have to be so careful about the engage here. Ooh, 1437 is just gone again.
The end of the day, honestly, that's a 4-man smoke for 1437, which is not going to be all that valuable, but maybe they can finally get this tier 1 tower. They are going to hit it up, but Devi in there with the Whirling Death and the Timber Chain trying to protect it. The Living Armor comes through, the Glyph is deployed, and they're still not able to get this tower. They've been trying so hard for it a couple of times in this game, and it's just not happening.
And fortunately, it almost, because of what has been happening to his hero, 1437, he's got a Hood of Defiance, he's got a Cloak, he's going for the Glimmer Cape. He just is tired of getting bursted down, which does mean there isn't a Yule Scepter in the pipeline coming from this Mirana just yet. So really, aside from the Invoker spells and the Timbersaw Yules, you don't have very good catch on the side of D2 Hustlers. And to that extent, Undying, if they really wanted to, they could just sit back and farm. You are giving space to this Gyro, but if you can keep pace with your Morphling, which Tomato assuredly is, you can sort of lull yourself into a very safe game where now D2 Hustlers, they have never been the aggressor. Really making this Roche play has been the biggest thing they've done in pushing up into that dire triangle, or that Radiant Triangle. And maybe Dubu. Yeah.
TP canceled fairly quickly. They will bring him down, but they're in onto bigger targets. They want Tomato. The problem is, well, they're not actually able to lock him down. Tomato will get the kill there onto Pandego, hitting him up with that shotgun combo, but now with Device sort of coming in from the east, Undying are starting to back themselves away. Oh my god, that's a lot of damage. Saberlight just gets sort of blown up. He's not dead yet, but Device hits him up with that shotgun again, and Saberlight's going to be forced to fall back. The tier 1 tower will fall, and the D2 Hustlers will be able to turn this one. So a pair of kills and an objective going their way, and they've now got control of this west side jungle and this sort of triangle, as they should be able to really just take any of this that they want. So Undying have to wait to regroup. That Saberlight Tidehunter is not back in for 30, but Moon, okay. He's going to push in anyway. That just feels very risky, but they are going in for it. The Ice Blast is coming through. Devi, if he gets hit by it, could be taken down. He's dead. Big kill for Undying. Tomato is now sort of on the hunt. He morphs into the Mirana, but doesn't use all the charges there, so he's not going to be able to catch up. But even with just the Timber Saw going down, that is still a pretty solid play.
Yeah, and he could have walked out of it. He could have just kept going straight, but instead he wanted to get aggressive on the Brow, just the Timber Saw mindset. And, oh, Pandego can't get tossed back, but now, really, it's just Devi. He was the one hero that could stand in front of those towers, keep them alive as long as they can, and he needs to be really careful. And, again, 1437. He's just getting caught out. He's showing a little bit too much, and they're just always there to punish him.
And Tomato's the one who gets that kill as well, so the Morphling will continue to build himself up. We do now finally see that transition towards the more right-click-oriented build. Satanic is queued up for him right now. The Scotty after that, and Papatuti just lost his blink. That is painful. 2.5 minutes without that one. Brile, though, might be a little bit too far forward. He's going to back it off a little bit here, using his blink dagger to get away from that east side jungle, but Tomato's going to start getting a little bit more in the way of sustainable damage across these fights. You take the Blink Dagger out of the Invoker's hands for a couple of minutes, and that clears up an opportunity to push into the Roche Pit.
Yeah, unfortunately, Divine Llama has respawned. Maybe you could have gone in a little bit sooner, but Brow felt like he needed to make the space. After the Sunstrike, yeah, they're looking for the fight. They want the fight, then the Roche. Bryle?
Oh, he's sort of stuck in the corner there. Going to buy some time with the Avalanche into the toss. The Glimmer Cape even being thrown down onto him, but Devi, the man doesn't care. Look at him go, just charging in. They get down the homing missile as well. Bryle's in some serious trouble, but the Ice Blast will come through. The Ravage is going to be deployed as well, but that Tornado is going to sort of slow Saberlight down. His teammates, though, are all in onto Devi, and they are going to be able to bring him down. Now they want more. Pandego hit up by the Avalanche as well. 1437 forced to try and leap away here while Yuma pops the BKB and pushes into the fight, but they're just completely ignoring him, kiting him out entirely, as Papatuti is going to get blown up in the river as well. They hit him up with that E-Blade combo, able to take him down. 1437's in with the arrow on the back end there, locking down the Tiny, but at this point, this fight's already over. T2 Hustlers have no choice but to retreat, and that is exactly what Undying want. The team fight now back into the Roche Pit to finish it off.
And really, they just can immediately make the decision to go onto the Vi. They saw he didn't have any stacks. He didn't sit in really any camp to sort of pick him up before going to that Roche Pit. At the same time, Pandego just gets immediately jumped on, and they ignore the gyro completely because it's not at that timing where Yuma is going to feel like a monster. He doesn't have a Satanic, he doesn't have a Daedalus, he really doesn't output all that much damage even when he is Alacritied, and ooh, 1437, yeah, Bryle is not playing around.
Tomato's sort of wrapping his way around as well, so this is definitely a situation where your Miranda needs to just get back here. But I don't know, Tomato may have the angle here. Is he actually going to go for it? No, he'd rather go for the tower, but the Glyph is going to sort of prevent that as that arrow hit a creep. That's a bit unfortunate. The original arrow from 1437, not going to hit either, though, and that is going to force the Miranda back as Tomato will simply take the tower and go about his business. So we talked about this before. Undying, we're sort of lacking in those tower push plays, especially with the Meteor Hammer having been picked up, but it's starting to come back in their favor now. They've pushed out to about a 3k net worth lead, and it feels like if you're D2 Hustlers, you had a real opportunity there to surge your way forward and try to take control, and they just sort of didn't hit it in the window that they had, as Devi is potentially going to get hit up here in the middle lane, but without the Ice Blast, I don't know about this one, but they're going to try for it anyway. Avalanche comes in. They've got that stolen Chakram as well, but he's still jumping away. That is going to be a stun coming out, though, with the Adaptive Strike. But Devi, this man is just on the run. He is trying to get away. Can he actually get out, though? I don't think so. He is dropping low, but another Timber Chain gets him out. Brow, though, blinking forward. They're looking for the Avalanche. Going to be able to get it. Waveform forward from Tomato comes in as well, and this Timber will eventually be taken down, but he led them on quite the chase. But at the end of the day, Undying do secure the kill.
And while it is space created, again, it's almost similar to when we would see anti-mage picked up, where this hero is so impactful, it means so much for you on the map. And Timbersaw AM, they're very, very different, but every single time Divine Llama gets taken down, you get to see Undying make these freebie plays. They're able to now push in as aggressively as they want. They don't have that hero to sort of sit in front. Ooh, and Thieben is just going to get taken down. And now it's up to Yuma to not get caught here. Ooh, he's sticking though.
Hanging out in the bottom lane, holding the BKB just in case he gets spotted, but as of right now, really nobody's coming to look for him. Tomato's more concerned with dealing with the creep wave instead, so he's going to be able to clear that one out, looking for that maybe push down bot, but his creep wave is still lagging behind. It's all the way back to the tier 2, so I don't think they're really going to be able to take this tower right away unless Tomato just feels like maybe he can get through backdoor protection, and he's not going to go all in for it, but clears up a couple of creep waves, gets his own pushing out. Yuma is still hanging out down there, though, so there we go. We will see him TP back now. Not going to be getting too greedy, going after maybe 1 or 2 extra waves, but while he was doing that, Undying are now looking to group up mid. They're looking for that tier 2 tower, and now they're looking for Divide. They're in onto him again.
Oh, boy. He's dead.
He's just going to shatter. Yeah, there's nothing he can do. Bryle finds the kill, and the tier 2 is under attack, so Divide at this point, I mean, he's got to adjust. If he goes down, his team really just can't fight without him, and so many opportunities are being created here for Undying because of those deaths on the Timber, and now he's actually dead for about a minute. He doesn't have gold for buyback, so Undying are going to make their way up to that tier 3 tower, and they should be able to get through it fairly quickly.
And they haven't had to use Ravage, they haven't had to use really anything for these picks, and Tomato, he wants to use his Aegis, he still has it for another minute 34. Yuma needs to be very careful when he shows, because immediately Tomato's going to become him, he's going to put the missile on him, and he's going to have those flaks. And that's where maybe Pendago could be going down, because Tomato does so much more damage than the Gyrocopter at this point, and we're going to start seeing that matchup really matter more and more. And again, that's just a free Rax. There was nothing they could do without Divine Llama. It really is everything in on that Timbersaw at this point. And we're seeing Papa Tootie and Yuma not really able to pick up the slack that's sort of been left there.
And now Aegis is still up for about a minute. Saberlight's starting to push out the lane here down bot, so they could realistically go in for another sort of push onto the high ground before that Aegis expires, if they're maybe willing to sort of take that risk. And feels like Undying, every time they take a risk so far, it's been really working out for them, and especially now that Bryle has picked up that Daedalus, he's got even more damage to work with, so he and Tomato are just going to hit insanely fast. You see that tier 2, it's gone. It's there for about 2 seconds before they sort of clear it out, and still 30 seconds on the Aegis. Will they continue to go? Divine Llama is in position to try and defend this, but he's really the only one. The rest of the team is sort of hoping for a wraparound play here, as they have smoked on 4. Maybe this is their moment. They're going to go in for the arrow, connecting onto Bryle. They're going to throw the call down in here as well, but Saberlight blinks in, goes for the Ravage, connecting onto 3. Yuma, though, was able to get on the front line with his BKB activated, but Papa Tootie's already been taken down, and this fight is starting to look a little bit rough. Bryle, though, is dropping low himself. He'll turn around for the Avalanche, though, realizing those BKBs have come to an end. He's not going to be able to live, but he sets up Tomato, pushing in there, looking for the damage. They've taken down Yuma. Divine Llama is going to get taken out as well, so it's a triple kill for the Morphling. He does lose the Aegis in the middle of that fight, though, so he's not going to be getting any regen, but they got the fight that they wanted. They've taken him down. Papa Tootie did buy back, but without the Timbersaw or the Gyro, there's really not a lot they can realistically do here, as Undying are going to push their way forward for a second lane of Rax.
And, well, it won't be the game unless they decide to go test the waters there, see if there is no buyback on that Gyro. They definitely could, because, again, Papa Tootie, this is the greed. He went for a Blink Dagger. He is 2,000 gold away from his BKB. He can't stand in front line for his teammates. If he dies again, it's over, more or less. There's nothing they can do. Divine Llama is just too easy of a target at this point in time, and his game has just been completely ruined. He died 4 times in a row, and it feels like now there's nothing that he can do. The heroes have just itemized a little bit too well. They have a little bit too much damage. I mean, full Daedalus on Tiny, full Scotty on the Morphling. And once Tomato gets this BKB, there is literally nothing D2 Hustlers can do. There is no way for them to kill him unless they get a 5-second arrow out of nowhere, because they don't have lockdown. That's not something that their lineup is good at. They really were all in on this Divine Llama Timbersaw, and it was working out, but now I really don't see an end to this game with them winning. I don't see how they really push them out of their base or do anything to Tomato. It just feels like he's too strong now on this Morphling. They waited too long.
Yeah, just as you said, it just seems like there's not too many options for them. They're down so significantly right now in terms of net worth, in terms of sort of general team fight strength, in terms of map control, they just can't really get a whole lot going for themselves. But they're obviously going to have another shot at this. Everyone's back up. They've got the full lineup in here. Maybe Devi Lama can sort of get himself into a stronger position here, but the last couple of fights have been rough for them, and it's a scenario in which it just feels like they have to do everything correctly, and then there still has to be a little bit more on top of that for them to be able to take this engagement. They need effectively a mistake from that Undying side, but for now, they don't really have any choice. They're just going to hold in their base, trying to hold on to that final lane of racks, and we do have Roshan coming back up potentially in about 40 seconds, so that may be where this sort of turns. If Undying just want to sit back, farm up, and wait things out and try and go in with another Aegis, then D2 Hustlers are going to be hard-pressed to sort of turn them back.
Yeah, and now there's an Aghanim Scepter up on Saberlight. There's so many supplemental items coming out from your support. Still Aeon Disc on Dubu. D2 Hustlers, it just feels like there isn't a target for them to hit. It feels like if Undying really wanted to, they could just wait for this Roche to respawn. Then I am almost positive there are 0 shots for the Hustlers. Right now, Yuma is working towards what I hope he decides to complete into a Daedalus, because I don't think there's going to be enough time for him to finish off. Ooh, he TP'd back. I don't think there's enough time for him to finish off this Divine Rapier. That would be great if he can farm it up, and maybe there's enough time if he's able to sort of wait for that Roche play, but this is a little bit crazy here. They did waste the Ice Blast.
Oh, there's Tomato in on Papatuti. They're going to be able to take him down right away. Tomato now going 1v1 against Yuma. This is... Oh, Tavai, yeah, caught out on the back line. Tomato just sort of keeps the rest of D2 Hustlers busy, so his teammates were able to finish off the kill onto the top. Oh, God, onto the Timber, but now Tomato got to be a little bit careful. He is sort of pushing his way in once again, but Yuma, he's out of time on the BKB. That's it. Yuma goes down. Pandego will fall as well. Yuma buys back now, but at this point, I don't think it's really going to be enough. 1437 is going to get hit up by that homing missile, and Moon Meander pushes into the dust to give him the vision, goes in for the telekinesis as well. The Ravage even going to be deployed at the end there, and that's it. The GG will be called. Tomato closes it out with the Ultra Kill, and Undying will take the game, and they will take the series.
Yeah, just really, really clean. And this is exactly where D2 Hustlers wanted to drag the game out to, and it felt like they had a lot of things going for them. While they weren't able to really get Papatuti or 1437 off the ground, Devi Lama really just had a picture-perfect performance. He was the object that Undying needed to deal with, but it felt like they took a little bit too much time, that they found the little openings that Devi gave to them, and then really just getting forced into that Roche fight a little bit too early, scouting out with the Sunstrike, and then Pantego and Devi going pretty much dying without getting anything off. It just surmounted to way too much. And again, I feel like if you are going to pick this Gyrocopter for Yuma, I like it. I like what he's able to do with it and get out onto the map a little bit earlier. But you need to ban out the Morph. You can't let Tomato have this just completely counter your hero. And I understand he has last pick on the Undying side, but maybe you don't ban out the Drow. Maybe you just have a little bit more time to think about it. Really, Undying, they're just too good. They're just too good. No matter what, they just always seem to find those small openings and just punish it, especially versus a team that isn't as experienced as, I guess, just 4-Zoomers. 4-Zoomers were the only team that were able to 2-0, but D2 Hustlers, they just didn't have the knowledge, I think, to get past Undying this time around. And they're not out, but still, Undying convincingly win that one.
Yeah, after pretty much a clean and nearly perfect game one. Game two, well, let's say it required a little bit more effort for them, that's for sure. But at the end of the day, they were still in control pretty much the whole way through. As we see from that graph, there's a brief moment we were sort of alluding to where D2 Hustlers has sort of built up some control for themselves, but they weren't quite able to really get themselves going in the way that we needed to see. You can see from that graph, it is in their favor, but it's not really expanding at this point. They're just kind of holding steady, and at that point, it felt like rather than D2 Hustlers building a lead, they were just stalling out while Undying were revving up, getting themselves ready to go. So Undying proving why they are really one of the sort of top 1 or 2 seeds in this playoff bracket, as they do take themselves that victory. A 2-0 sweep for them will be moving them on to the next round. So I believe we are going to be having a potential interview here with a member of Undying. I believe we are trying to set that up right now. So in the meantime, we are going to be sort of jumping into a bit of a break. We'll be sort of hopping back in for that winner's interview, presumably in just a couple of minutes. As hold on a second, I am getting word now. Undying are determining who they want to send forward. So they're picking a teammate to throw under the bus and put in front of us to grill the absolute crap out of them. So, yeah, we are going to be having that interview with a member of the Undying lineup. To be honest, I kind of hope it's Saberlight because I want to ask him what in the world was up with that Meteor Hammer build. It worked out, but still very much not what we're used to seeing.
He's EU, you know. It works differently over there.
Yeah, in EU they build Meteor Hammers apparently. But yeah, we are going to be waiting to see what's going down there with that interview. So in the meantime, we'll be taking a short break and we'll return for that winner's interview in just a little bit.